Hi, friends. Today, I want to share a new story with you. I hope you enjoy it. I was finishing up work on an online ad when I got a phone call. The office was filled with the sound of typing and fake small talk. But as soon as I saw the caller ID, my grandfather's landline, I stopped cold. It wasn't him. Miss Davenport, said a serious male voice. I'm calling from Hackley and Prior Law. I'm sorry to tell you that Patrick Davenport passed away early this morning. I gripped my phone tightly. No, that can't be, he was fine. I just talked to him on Sunday. I understand, ma'am. It was sudden. He asked that we contact you directly. After the call ended, I sat there, staring at my screen full of unread messages. My chest felt hollow. Grandfather wasn't just family. He was the only one who ever truly saw me. That night, I drove to his estate in Montail. I knew the road so well, I could have driven it with my eyes closed. The house looked just the same, covered in ivy and old brick. The porch light was still on, like he might walk out at any moment. But the house was quiet. On the dining table, his lawyer had left an envelope with my name, for Daphne. I opened it slowly, afraid it might disappear. Inside was a letter in his neat handwriting, and 2 brass keys. One big, one small. The big one was for the house. The small one, I didn't know. My iron magnolia, the letter began. The others won't understand why I did this, but you will. I've left everything to you, not because I love you more, but because I know you're strong enough to protect our family's name, even when others can't. Tears blurred the words. He knew. Somehow, he always knew. I wandered the hallways after that, each creak of the wood echoing with childhood memories, me trailing behind him in the garden, him telling me stories from the war or giving me stock tips when I was 10. Not once did he patronize me. He believed in my mind. That night, I received a group text from my mother. Family meeting this Sunday at our house regarding Dad's estate. Be there. No emotion. No check-in. Just entitlement. Just assumption. I stared at the message, a cold shiver running down my spine. They didn't know yet. They thought I was still the quiet, obedient daughter who'd sign anything with a smile. They had no idea I held the keys now, literally and legally. Sunday came like a storm cloud. I arrived at my parents' suburban home at 3 p.m. sharp. The air was tense the moment I stepped through the door. Mom stood with her arms folded, lips pressed into a line. Dad barely looked up from his whiskey. And Dennis, well, he was already tapping his foot like he had a poker table waiting. Daphne, Mom said, gesturing to the couch. Let's make this quick. I sat, placing grandfather's sealed envelope beside me like a silent witness. Dad cleared his throat. We're glad you came. There's been some discussion about your grandfather's estate. Dennis is in a bit of trouble. Again? I asked flatly. Dennis scoffed. I made a few bets. It's not a crime. You owe $430,000, Dennis, I snapped. That's not a few bets. That's a self-dug grave. Mom raised her voice, sharp and defensive. Don't talk to your brother that way. He's going through a hard time. I leaned back slowly. And what does this have to do with grandfather's legacy? Dad's face twitched. We assumed, well, he would have wanted us to stay afloat as a family. His money can solve this if we act fast. I met their eyes one by one. You assumed I'd hand it over? Silence. A slow burn of discomfort. Dennis sneered. You think you're special because he left it to you? Come on, Daph. You wouldn't even have that estate. If I hadn't earned his trust, I cut in. If I hadn't taken care of him when no one else did. If I hadn't helped him protect his investments from vultures like you. Dad rose from his chair, the old authoritarian tone seeping back. We are his children. That money belongs to all of us. No, I said, voice low but firm. He left it to me. And it's already in an irrevocable trust. You can't touch it. Not a dime. Mom's eyes narrowed. You did what? Protected it, from anyone who would misuse it. Like you. For a moment, the room went silent, like even the air refused to move. Then Dennis exploded. You think you're better than us? You think you can control everything? Screw you, Daphne. No, I said calmly, standing. I'm not better. Just smarter. And grandfather knew it. As I walked out, I heard Dad mutter, "She'll come crawling back when she's alone." But I smiled. They underestimated me. 2 days later, I sat across from Mr. Halverson, grandfather's old lawyer, in his wood-paneled office that still smelled faintly of cigar smoke and mahogany. He adjusted his glasses. "I'm glad you came. There's something I think you should see." He slid a thin folder across the desk. Inside were scanned emails and signed drafts, buried correspondence. The sender was my father. I blinked, stunned. He tried to restructure the estate? Halverson nodded grimly. 3 weeks after the funeral, he contacted another lawyer, asking how to challenge the will and move your assets into a family trust. He even suggested you were mentally unfit to manage the inheritance. I swallowed hard. The betrayal wasn't shocking. But the planning was. "And Dennis?" I asked. Halverson tapped a second paper. "Your brother's debts are worse than you thought. He's been placing illegal sports bets. Loan sharks are involved. So, this wasn't just desperation. It was self-preservation. My own father had cast me as unstable in hopes of grabbing what wasn't his. That wasn't just greed. That was war. Is there legal risk?" "Not anymore," he said. "The trust you established locked everything down. But be prepared, they may try to manipulate you emotionally. Or worse." On my way out, I stopped at a coffee shop near my office. As I stirred my drink, my phone buzzed. "Dennis." The message was short. "Let's talk. I'm in deep. Don't make this worse." I stared at the screen. Suddenly, I wasn't just fighting for grandfather's legacy. I was protecting it, from the people who shared my blood. The family meeting was set for Saturday afternoon in my parents' living room. Neutral ground, or so they thought. I arrived early, file folder in hand, hard-armored. My mother poured tea like it was just another Sunday. Dennis paced by the window, twitchy. My father sat composed, too composed. "We've been talking," my father began, his tone calm but rehearsed. "Nevertheless, we believe it would be better if the inheritance is used for the family." "You mean Dennis," I cut in. "You mean his $430,000 in gambling debt." Silence. My mother looked at me sharply. "He's your brother, Daphne." "Exactly," I said, "which is why I'm offering a solution, not a bailout." I placed the file on the table and opened it. "This," I said, tapping the papers, "is proof you tried to access grandfather's estate illegally. Emails, drafts, your failed attempt to declare me mentally unfit. Shall I continue?" My father's face paled, but it was Dennis who broke. "They told me you'd never find out, that you didn't even care about the money." I stood. "Dennis, I care about grandfather's legacy, that's why I created a trust. You won't touch a cent unless you go into treatment. If you commit to recovery, I'll cover 2/3 of your debt. The rest is on you, and your enablers." My mother gasped. "You're punishing us." "No," I said evenly. "I'm protecting what was entrusted to me. If that feels like punishment, ask yourself why." Dennis stared at me, eyes glassy. I didn't want this, I just needed help." "You still can get it," I replied, "but not at the cost of my integrity." I walked out without another word. The door shut behind me like the final page of a chapter one never wanted to write. But it had to be written. 3 weeks passed. The silence from my family was deafening. No calls, no apologies, only a single message from Dennis, scrawled and shaky. I checked in, day 1, "Don't hate me." I didn't reply, not yet. But I followed his progress quietly. The rehab center in Pennsylvania sent me weekly updates. He was resisting less, attending group therapy, even leading a meeting. A small ember of hope burned in the wreckage. One afternoon, as I was reviewing a marketing campaign at the office, my assistant popped her head in. "There's a man here, says he's your brother." My pulse skipped. "Send him in." Dennis stepped in, thinner, pale, but with eyes I hadn't seen in years. Clear ones. "Hi, Daph." I stayed seated, arms crossed. "You're out. 30 days. I'm not fixed, but I'm not hiding either." He held out a sealed envelope. "It's my job application. I'm applying at the shipping yard. Dad doesn't know." "Good," I said quietly, "that's your choice, not theirs." He sat. Exhaling. I thought you hated me. I hated what you let them turn you into. His voice cracked. I want to change, but I need time. You'll get it, I said. 2/3 of your debt will be paid. The rest is yours to fight through, like Grandpa would have wanted. He nodded, swallowing hard. Thank you. When he left, I stared at the door for a long moment. My family had burned the bridge behind me. But maybe, just maybe, Dennis and I were building a new one, stone by honest stone. But I wasn't naive, the fire hadn't gone out yet. The spring rain came soft and sudden, tapping against the stained glass windows of Grandfather's library, my library now. I sat beneath the portrait of him, the faint scent of old tobacco and cedar still clinging to the room like a ghost that refused to leave. A letter lay in my lap, one Dennis had written after his second month clean. You were always the strong one, Daphne, I hated you for it. Now I envy you, but I'm learning. That morning, I watched him punch in at the dockyard, dirty hands, tired eyes, but he smiled at me. A real smile. For the first time in years, I saw the brother I remembered. As for my parents, they sent a formal letter through their attorney requesting one last consideration. I shredded it. I hadn't just protected Grandfather's legacy, I had fulfilled it. Every investment was secured in the trust, the estate preserved as a historic landmark, and the family heirlooms catalogued and donated to a local museum under his name. Later that evening, I walked to the garden he once tended, now beginning to bloom again. The iron magnolia tree stood tall in the corner, its blossoms stubborn against the cold. Mrs. Landry, the housekeeper, joined me with a steaming mug. Grandfather used to say you were like that tree, she murmured. Soft petals, but rooted in iron. I smiled. He wasn't wrong. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.